U.S. and India recently signed the Security of Supply Agreement, which integrates the defense companies and defense industries in U.S. and India. What does this mean for our defense partnership? To understand this, I spoke to Lindsey Ford, a senior White House official here at the USIBC India Ideas Summit. Listen in.
We're working together in space like defense industry to think about our own security at home. And so for both the United States and India, some of the work that we're doing together on armored combat vehicles, jet engines, make our own defense industrial bases stronger, and increasingly we're doing that together. The second thing is I think we're thinking about how the U.S.-India relationship can bring more security in the Indo-Pacific region. So we're partnering together with ASEAN in the Pacific Islands across the Indian Ocean, and we're looking at the kinds of training, capacity building, and capabilities that we can provide elsewhere in the region. And finally, we're thinking about the security of the globe. I think the U.S. and India are two of the few countries in the world who can come together with the capacity and the scale to contribute to global security.
Speaking about a landmark agreement on defense, the Security of Supply Agreement, this was in principle agreed upon between Prime Minister Modi and President Biden last year. Just a few weeks back, it was formally signed between the two countries. How will this integrate our defense industrial bases of the two countries more closely together? What's the potential?
I think that this is a great example of work that we're doing on supply chain resilience and security across our governments. On the defense side, the real advantage of the SOSA agreement is speed. Oftentimes there have been big delays, gaps when it comes to supply chains. So through this agreement, we are prioritizing each other when there's a need. And that is everything from when there is a disaster to peacetime, to were there to be a conflict. We work together to make sure that our respective defense industries can get what they need more quickly and move to the front of the line.
Right. I'd like to ask you about the GE 414 engines. That was also a landmark deal that was signed between GE and HAL of India, but the deal is yet to take off. Do you see any kind of roadblocks to it, or do you feel that those differences are getting ironed out?
I don't see any roadblocks right now. That negotiation is really between the two companies, and so it's with them, not governments. But I think it is not surprising at all for these negotiations to take some time, because what we said when we discussed this deal was that this was the most significant technology transfer of jet engine technology the United States government had ever approved. And we're talking about enormous engines with thousands and thousands of parts that these two companies have to figure out how to bring together. So I think my understanding is they are continuing to make good progress.
But do you have a broad timeline within which both the companies could begin joint manufacturing together?
I don't have any specifics to give you today. What I will say is I think both the companies and the governments remain laser focused on moving this as quickly as we can.
Okay. Even when we met you last time, you had spoken about working together on manufacturing land combat systems. Where are those talks currently? Are there more initiatives where we are considering joint manufacturing?
There are a number that we're looking at joint manufacturing. So certainly armored combat systems, jet engines we've talked about, but there are others that we outlined in the defense industry roadmap the United States and India concluded together. One I would point to is ISR systems. I think increasingly we're looking at opportunities to manufacture those together, and unmanned systems, whether that's in the air or in the sea. And so there are a number of things that as governments and industry we're looking at together that I think we'll see come to fruition in the next few months, in the next couple of years.
Right. After SOSA and having the agreement on liaison officers, is there any other enabling agreement that US and India are now working to probably ratify soon?
You know, the amazing thing about the last handful of years is I think we put a number of foundational agreements in place that, frankly, folks thought might never happen, and now we have them all in place. So more than focusing on additional foundational agreements, I think what we're trying to do now is really implement the ones that we have. So how do we put them into action? As our militaries come together, they train, they exercise together, they share information together. That's what all of those agreements enable. So I think we have all the building blocks that we need right now, and now we have to build on them.
How do you see the last agreement, which was just done maybe 2 or 3 days back between the US State Department on semiconductors and the Indian government? What will this mean in terms of exploring joint manufacturing and joint cooperation on supply chains?
Well, I think what it will mean is we're looking to opportunities for the United States to support India's growing semiconductor manufacturing industry. And there are a number of ways we can do that. Through industry-to-industry tie-ups or through research and development. What we've certainly seen is, whether it is in the commercial space or in the defense space, the need for semiconductor chips frankly outstrips global supply right now, and we see India as an important part of that supply chain going forward.
On that note, we come to the